And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Again, this is episode 167. That's the wrong tab. I need to open. 168. It is episode 168 of the Constitutionals Podcast. 169. It's episode 169 of the Constitutionals Podcast, the show that is the premier podcast for the website. And we are doing this. We are in it. We are in this. I literally just got done with a online therapy session. I'm sorry, not online, telecommuting therapy session. And I have nothing ready except for the recording equipment was already out because I used it for the computer. And the computer's very warm, by the way. And I sat there for a minute after my therapist ended the call, and I thought, do I do the show right now? And the answer is yes, I do it right now. Because I'm tired and I just want to go ahead and do this. News time came out extremely late this week, but it was whatever, who cares? Hey, listen, let's get on with it. First things first, VIACOMCBS adds 70 shows to CBS All Access. Will keep price the same and rebrand by early 2021. This comes from Alex Sherman over there at CNBC. Now, the key takeaway is to know that VIACOM-CBS is obviously planning on rebranding CBS All Access. And they've kind of been in the midst of doing so over the past couple of months. They've been adding shows like Avatar and the Legend of Korra and other Disney Nickelodeon property shows. They finally solidified these plans by adding shows like Danny Phantom and other Chappelle's Show and Reno 911. And for some of these shows, it's the only place you can stream them, like Reno 911. For others, like Danny Phantom, you can still watch that show on Amazon, I believe, and you can watch it on Hulu as well. You can watch all of SpongeBob on there, every season, from 1 to 11 right now. Hard to believe that there's only been 11 seasons. But the show did end for a little bit, and then it came back. You know, sometimes I take naps on the weekend, and I just leave it on, cartoons or Food Network. This is how I started watching Guys Grocery Games, because I woke up in the middle of Guys Grocery Games, and it was on, and I thought, you know what, this is not a bad show. I don't have a problem with Guy Fieri. Ever since Shane Torres had his set on Conan, he was on Conan one time talking about that guy. Anyway, so wow. I just got from my leasing agent, I just got a text. He's talking to me like we're friends, and it's very odd at the new place I'm moving to. And so now with this rebranding, and I leave it on SpongeBob, and I'll leave the thing on SpongeBob. I wake up sometimes and SpongeBob's on. So with this rebranding, they have these. They're bringing in all the shows from across the sister networks. So they're going to keep everything the same. Obviously, I wonder at what point in 2021, early on, maybe, hopefully, they'll say that CBS All Access is Viacom All Access. I think calling it CBS All Access is fine, because you can. The CBS networks are so easy to discern. It's everything that Viacom owns, and then plus whatever CBS owns. So it is the VH1s, MTVs, BET, CMT, and Nickelodeon. And then it's also, there's back it up. Then there's also, Showtime, CBS, and Pop TV. We'll see how this goes. Obviously, I think the thing is, people think that all of the streaming networks, and again, I'm going to keep reiterating this until it is dug into your heads. There's a joke on a CBS show called Rules of Engagement that you cannot find streaming, that I pray will end up on streaming at some point. And it is one of those typical older married couple, younger couple is about to be married, and then the single guy that sleeps around. It is one of those shows, and if you've seen it before, you've seen it before. But Rules of Engagement it's so funny. It's just so naturally funny, because they're all so crappy to each other, but not like Seinfeld crappy, not Always Sunny crappy. They all care about each other in that sitcom-y way, but they're all so mean to each other, and they bully each other, and you wonder, why are they friends? Because you get why the Seinfeld and It's Always Sunny, or even why, I guess, what's another sitcom? Full House or One Day at a Time. You get why those characters can be together, but you don't get why these characters can be together. And anyway, there's one episode called Snoozing for a Bruising where this nurse thinks that it stars Patrick Warburton and Megan Price, David Spade, Oliver Hudson, and Bianca Kalick. And Megan Price and Oliver Hudson. Megan Price and Patrick Warburton are a married couple, and they're in the hospital, and this nurse is on the other side of this curtain, so she can't see them, and Megan Price is like has a black eye because of something happened, and Patrick Warburton goes, "You just couldn't leave it alone," and the nurse obviously thinks he beat her. It's a funny episode. Check it out. The subject matter surrounding it is not funny, but the jokes about it, hilarious. So funny. Anyway, Viacom CBS. So CBS All Access is it's gonna be a place where the distribution deals are going to be different with Viacom properties, Viacom CBS properties. They're going to allow other streaming services and other networks to air their things, but this will just be another place where you can get shows that you can also get on other places. And I would say that its most immediate competition is probably Peacock, because people aren't going to compare HBO Max to CBS All Access, even though they do have differing catalogs. Like, people aren't going to compare those things. Just look at the tiers. CBS All Access and Peacock both have paid advertisement tiers, even though Peacock has a free one. But let's just look at those mid tiers. They both have those $5-6 tiers, and then the $10 tier is what you get without the stuff. But then they also have the premium shows, like Brave New World on Peacock and Star Trek shows on CBS All Access. So at some point, I do think that they're going to have to step up their game, but they have no plans to license their content. They have everything's kind of written out right now, and they don't want to bring in other shows that are going to disrupt. So they'll send out their Danny Phantoms, their SpongeBob's, and Chappelle's Show. They'll let those live on other platforms, but they'll also have them on their platforms. But they don't plan on bringing in Seinfeld, because there's no point in spending that money. And apparently, I think I saw somewhere that combined Showtime Anytime, and CBS All Access have a combined 13.5 million subscribers. I believe that's what I read in a headline, in a passing glance. Hey, let's move on. G4 TV is going to return in 2021. This is teased during last week's Comic-Con. This is like this is Sunday. This is like 6 days ago. Or Friday, Saturday, whatever day that was. G4 TV is one of my favorite networks, and I understand why it went away, because E Network sucks, because they owned it. I understand why it went away, because it was in a weird space of G4 Tech TV. It was originally Tech TV. It's a network on cable, basic cable, that was about it was. I'm sorry, I just got a text that really upset me about people making plans during a pandemic. I'm trying to eat dinner. It was a network about video games and technology in general, and in its later years, in the early years, it was like, the deepest parts of the internet are now. It's guys building computers on television for an hour. And you didn't understand. If you didn't understand, you understand it. But moving on down the line, it soon became about video games and tech and trying to be more accessible. And so they had shows like Attack of the Show, which was like their daily variety show, and they interviewed people in the industry. And then they had X Play, which was kind of like a comedy review show, and and I really like that show. They had a show called Cheat when cheat codes were popular, and they talked about cheat codes for games, and they showed you how they worked. Truly, this is like things that worked. Cinematech, which was just cutscenes and trailers, and oh my god, just so many great things. And then that's how I got into E3. So anyway, it went away because the internet was just huge. It went away in the the late 2010s, I would say. I think I was in college when it finally died out. But yeah, between like 2008 and 2012, it was sad. It was sad just watching it because all they did was air reruns of Cops and Cheaters, and then they had Attack of the Show, which was still going. And anyway, but last week, this comes from IGN, written by Joe Scribbles, who's a wonderful reviewer. I don't read a lot of reviews, but when I do read them, sometimes he writes them. Attack of the Show host Olivia Munn, who left the show while it was shooting at one point, and she never came back. referenced her time in the show as response to the tease, as did Kevin Pereira, who has been trying to get Attack of the Show living in some space in the internet. Adam Sessler, Morgan Webb, both from XPlay, tweeted about it. And but the kicker is that G4 TV itself, the Twitter, just came back to life and put up like an error code and said "Hello World" and had a little video teaser. So hopefully it comes back with the same old people like Alison Hayslip and Jessica Chobot and Tiffany Smith, just like a whole bunch of people. I hope everybody comes back. I do think there is a space for it to live. And I put in multiple. The rumor has been bolstered. This is another article from GameSpot, and then it was basically confirmed, essentially, that, and I have something on Deadline that gave me more news, but Disney kind of brought back gaming to television on Disney XD about 2 years ago, when they tried 2 or 3 years ago now. When they brought in shows like Kevin Pereira from the Attack of the Show. He had an online version of the show called The Attack, and they brought in a half-hour kid-friendly version of that because that show is really dirty. But it brought in a half-hour kid-friendly version of that. They brought in a bunch of people who play video games online to have their own half-hour shows, and for a while it was going really well, but apparently the response was poor and they weren't getting a lot of viewers. And now they only just air a show called Parker Plays. This online personality named Parker, I guess he plays video games, and he's really wacky about it. I only know that because I watch DuckTales and Amphibia and other Disney Channel shows, and I see the commercials. So NBC Universal owned it, and I don't know who's bringing it back, but this video has been watched 3.5 million times on the Twitter account. It's been hearted 53.9 million thousand times, and 53.9 million, and then 15.1 thousand responses. So this is huge. People want this. People want something like this to happen. And before Twitch and video games were big, like within the news and everything, for the time being, when they went to Comic-Con and when they went to E3, that was the only way you could get that stuff. That and Game Trailers TV over there on Spike TV or whatever, what is now Paramount. So that was the only way you could get that robust kind of news in a television format on TV. Like it was, I have no issues with G4, and I hope it comes back. I do think there is a way for it to live. On Pluto TV, for instance, there's a channel dedicated to Pluto TV is a free streaming service where you can just watch a bunch of like theme channels, like an MTV theme channel and or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme channel. But there's a theme channel from IGN, and it's just all of their online stuff, and it's just put in a linear format for watching on Pluto TV. I always thought this, because I've been reading IGN since I was, since the late 90s. I do think, and the website is still so slow on my computer. This thing has 16 gigabytes of RAM. And yes, it's 5 years old, but come on. But I do think there's a space for video games for video game, God, I hate this word, content, for video game coverage and tech coverage on television. There's an easy way to do it. And and it's just and it requires, it's something that Letterman didn't do, or Jon Stewart didn't do with the Daily Show. It requires adopting the internet. James Corden and Jimmy Fallon, Conan, Stephen Colbert, Hassan Minaj, Desus Samiro, Lily Singh, and Sam B. They're all able to shift gears into an internet focused thing. Yeah, you're not going to get Seth Meyers. You're not going to get all the views on television. Not like who's watching late night shows right now on television. I record them. You watch them later on Hulu, or Peacock. So I think the breakouts are what the thing. That's why shows like Carpool Karaoke. That's why they did so well. That's why that show's doing so well. That's why lip sync battle. That's why that stuff does so well. Conan's travel things. That's why it makes sense. Just be able to break out the shows and everything. I'm excited for it to come back. I want to see what happens. Hopefully it comes back for E3 next year. It comes back for Comic-Con next year, and I don't have to rely on the IGN or GameSpot or Game Trailers or whomever for this stuff, because I think G4 did it best, and there's no combating that. All right, listen, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Emmys, baby. This was Emmy week. We're going to break right now. And we're back. We're back to the show. Welcome back to episode 169. Is that what we settled on? Let me look. I still have to think of 169. Feeling fine. That is the title. 169. Feeling fine. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not really in the mood for this. I still haven't watched Hamilton. Also, Taylor Swift dropped a new album last week, and it took me a couple days to listen to it because I was in a horrible mood. Folklore. Great. I think it's a really great album. It's, she shifted what's it called? Genres. She and Drake are so gifted in that they can even pick out the producers and be able to blend into these genres. And yeah, I mean, say what you will about she writes about her exes, blah blah blah. She hasn't done that in a while. Or Drake's like, oh, he adopts people and uses them. Like he adopts people and uses them, or like he adopts these accents and uses them. Fine, whatever. I do think that they are two of the most talented people to do that. Same thing for Ariana Grande, even though I don't like her that much. And I was going to say Lady Gaga, but Joan wasn't didn't live up to that type of hype. But, Taylor, her first three albums were country, and then we kind of got a mixed bag in Red, and a mixed bag of genres. I don't mean mixed bag of the thing, in terms of quality, but in Red, and then 1989 was this synth pop 80s music that really stood out, and then Reputation just became this. Like, I can't even. This is crazy. I can't even remember Reputation because that was like kind of her electronic. That one, like 1989 was synth, and then Reputation was electronic, and then Lover was like bubblegum pop, and then Folklore is now this indie motif. I really do like it and respect it, and she is, in my regards, one of the best musicians out there. I don't care what anybody says. Suck it. Hey, let's move on. Now, Congress, I think Apple, Google, Amazon, and Facebook sat down. They sat down with Congress yesterday, or the House, in order to discuss antitrust laws. This is a very big thing. And one of them was that Apple is one of the problems was why Tim Cook went yesterday. Tim Apple went yesterday was because Apple charges 30% if you sell subscriptions or if you sell stuff within their app ecosystem. Then they get a 30% cut. I'm really dumbing this down. But Airbnb and ClassPass, if you buy things via that, then Apple gets 30% of that. And I think it hurts companies, and even as big as ClassPass and Airbnb, it hurts them because they could be getting that full thing, and Apple's bought more revenue from its online services business, mostly on the App Store and its Macs, iPads, iPhones, and they become important tools. Like this is how people, and let's think of like even smaller scale things. Here's a quote from the article. And the article is titled "Their Business Went Virtual, Then Apple Wanted a Cut." Written by Jack Nikas and David McCabe. I guarantee I pronounced both of those names right. With gym shut down, ClassPass dropped its typical commission on virtual classes, passing along 100% of sales to gyms, the person close to the company said. That meant Apple would have taken its cut from hundreds of struggling independent fitness centers, yoga studios, and boxing gyms. And so this is what, Tim Cook went up there to fight against, saying like, no, we support our companies. We support everything. The battery on the camera is dying, and I have one charging on the wall over here just for this occasion. I didn't switch it out. And it is, the pandemic really brings to light a lot of these issues surrounding what happens when Amazon. I don't know about Amazon, but I know Google takes a cut, but I know it's significantly smaller than 30%. They're not going to take, I think Apple kind of sees these apps as advertisement, saying this is what your company can do, and if you want to have it on the best storefront, then you're going to have to pay us. And who's to say that 30% doesn't turn into 50? And I think that's what was said during the hearing yesterday. I wonder when day 2 of the hearing is. I don't know. But there's something to think about. I just want to bring that up. Okay, so Emmy nominations. You can go read the Emmy nominations yourself. But there's something I want to point out. This comes from Variety. Emmy nominations, 34%. And this is, I did not grab an article for this, but I remember this from this morning on CBS All Access. CBS This Morning, which is still a great show, even though I call it CBS All Access. Something like 34% of the nominees are people of color, or black, excuse me, rather. I don't want this. This is going to sound so. A lot of what's going to happen in the next couple of years is going to feel reactionary, and it's Batwoman. It's the CW Batwoman hiring a black woman to be the lead after Ruby Rose quits. It's people supporting Black Lives Matter. After having it thrown in their face because a bunch of people were getting. Oh my God, what's going on? I'm sorry. Something just happened with the mic, and I gotta hear myself over 6 times. It's gonna be Black Lives Matter being thrown in their face because of a bunch of civil upheaval of police shootings and abuses and everything coming out into the news. I just feel like my issue is, if Insecure was going to be nominated for an Emmy, which it is this year, it should have been nominated 3 years ago when it was really, really good. It's still good, but I'm saying it was going up against Veep and Blackish, that. Anyways, all I have to say is that there's a lot of people of color that are nominated, and there's a lot of great comedy series that are still nominated. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, for some reason, is still up here, even though it's probably the whitest out of all of these shows. It's even whiter than Schitt's Creek, and that show's pretty white. It takes place in Canada. But I'm very excited to see Watchmen and everything else win. I hope Billy Porter wins for lead actor, because it'd be great to see him up there with that hat. Sandra Oh in Killing Eve, Zendaya is nominated. Anthony Anderson has always been nominated, as has Tracee Ellis Ross. always nominated. So yeah, I just don't. I feel like that this is we're at a point where people are just doing this because they can, just like because it's part of the news, cycle right now. What happens? What happens in 5 years? Hopefully when there's parity among everybody. When people are being cast as Iron Man and they're not a mediocre white actor named Robert. I'm kidding. I feel bad for saying that. I don't. And little known winner for the Emmys, Quibi. Quibi is doing so well in the Emmys. And this is not a joke. Quibi has been nominated for, let's say three different categories, and let's say 70% of the nominees are them. So, Lawrence Fishburne, Stephen James, Christoph Waltz, and Corey Hawkins all are nominated for actor in a short-form comedy or drama series. Anna Kendrick, Caitlin Olsen, Jasmine Cephas Jones, and Carrie Kenny Silver are all nominated for their shows for actress in a short-form comedy or drama series. And Reno 911 and Most Dangerous Game are nominated for a short-form comedy or drama series. When no one's in that fight, it's easy to take the lead. But this is very good for Quibi because, it's Quibi. There's nothing. It's so funny. It's so funny that Quibi is probably the least watched streaming service right now, or major streaming service, the least watched major streaming service. But here it comes with the most nominations out of most of them, with the exception of Netflix, because Netflix is winning the streaming battle, the streaming nomination battle, and probably the streaming battle. I'm very happy that The Simpsons has been nominated for best voiceover performances. Hank Azaria, Nancy Cartwright, and then also for best animated program, and also I think for, let me see, I think there's another Simpsons. Nope, I am wrong. Nope, wait, hold on. No, I'm wrong. Let me type in The Simpsons on The Simpsons. Yeah, so they're only nominated 3 times over. But you know what? 3 times is better than 1 time. Bob's Burgers is nominated. Watchmen really came out this. I thought, I think HBO or Warner was looking to do another season of Watchmen, but that would just kind of kill this nomination process. But the same thing happened, with Big Little Lies. It was nominated for miniseries, limited series, and now it's in its second season and it's being nominated. Meryl Streep. It's just a way to get Meryl Streep to the Emmys. Laura Dern. And I wonder how the Emmys are going to be. I wonder if they're going to invite people. I wonder if they're going to have socially distant Chinese theater. Is it a Chinese theater? I wonder if they're going to have a socially distant ceremony. I think it would be nice to bring people out socially distant in the ceremony. I wonder tomorrow or today when this drops, Beyonce's Black is King is coming out on Disney Plus. I wonder if they're going to put that up for a TV movie. That'd be very interesting. Or if the Oscars change the rules this year because of we're not able to watch a lot of shows, I wonder if they're going to put it up for an Oscar. I think that'd be very interesting. I think I would love to see that happen. And again, I'm not a huge Disney person, and I didn't even see that new Lion King. I had no plans on seeing it. Maybe at some point we'll see. Crazy how I'll pay $7 a month just to watch The Simpsons, but the idea of watching another Disney movie. How dare you? Full Frontal with Samantha Bee is nominated. Jimmy Kimmel Live, John Oliver, Stephen Colbert, and Trevor Noah nominated, so that's very good. Sad to see Conan and Seth Meyers were not considered, but a lot of Ozark stuff, The Crown, Hollywood, and Westworld. Very good. Very glad to see that happen. Funny thing, I have not seen the last episode of the last season of Westworld yet. I have not seen the last episode. I fell off for some reason, and then I just didn't catch up. And now I have to go back and watch the entire season over again because I don't know what happened. So there we go. Oh, Eddie Murphy is nominated for SNL guest hosting. Oh, John Mulaney as well, looks like. Yeah, John Mulaney and Eddie Murphy. I guess they can do that. It's going to be a very interesting Emmys this year. In my head, I said Oscars. Listen, we're done here. If you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where I swear to God, there will be an interview with Kyle Kinane. We were so busy at work, and I just haven't put it up yet. So I swear it'll be in some form of an interview with Kyle Kinane coming up in the next couple of days. If you want to see a video version of this podcast, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. And thank God the air is on because I'm sweating my tits off. This is a clean show. And my tits were my birds. My birds are somewhere here. If you want to see a video version of the show, youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me in all my glory. You can also on youtube.com/cpluscomedy watch News Time, which is the premiere show. It's a news show, a late night news show, I guess. I don't know. It's a news show that is good. I just thought about another writing thing I have to do. It's a news show that is like The Daily Show, except way less funny. I take one story, I delve right into it. This week's episode is about improv and what UCB, Chicago IO, and Second City are all doing during this quarantine. And it's not good. They're all changing, but it's not good right now. This is a very special episode because I did not write a script. It is all improvised. I just wrote down notes and I read from the notes. That's essentially what happened. So that's it. Okay. Oh, Twitter, Instagram @CPlusComedy. Twitter, Instagram @ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're going out. Goodbye.